It's been a long week, and I don't expect it to slow down anytime soon. I've noticed in the last 20 years that we've been here an interesting phenomenon in Toronto where we try and squeeze 4 months of winter programming into the period between Pesach and Shavuot. That doesn't even mention all of the planning that goes into Purim and then Pesach and then Shavuot. So it's great, though, to see our calendar filling up, and I want to encourage everyone to check out our website because we are now able to put things on the calendar. And so if you look, you'll see service times, programs, and slowly we're adding in everything that we have going on. So please check into that. I also want to encourage anyone who wants to see specific programming to please let us know. We're happy to work with you to connect you to the right committee to get that started and to make sure that our congregation, our community has everything going on. Last week, Merkaz Canada started sending out to the rabbis what they call Merkaz Minutes, and I'll be sharing them in the future. But this week, I was inspired by that Merkaz Minute to speak about what Nola Lazar, who is the president of Merkaz, wrote about. I'm happy to talk about what Merkaz is, and anyone who wants to ask me about it later during Kiddush, please do, because I will talk about it for hours. Before Rav Sean became the director of Merkaz Canada, I held the position for 11 years, and it's a thing that is near and dear to my heart. But to summarize, Merkaz is the Zionist arm of the Masorti movement worldwide. They represent our interests, the interests of our community here and of Masorti communities around the world and in Israel at Israel's national organizations. The World Zionist Organization, the Jewish Agency for Israel, and Keren Kayemet, the Jewish National Fund. They also represent us at the Canadian Zionist Federation here in Canada. And Nola Lazar, who is the president, is based in Winnipeg. If you'd like to get involved, speak with Rav Sean. Nola wrote this week about Pekudei, the clothing prepared for Aharon and for his sons, and then for the later Kohanim. And she wrote about the garments being made of many different yarns, the gold, the blue tchelet, the purple argaman, the crimson tolat, and the twisted linens that get woven into these amazing robes that he wears. And each piece, each color, each thread adds its attributes to the whole, creating these beautiful and holy garments. And Nola likened this weaving together of threads, of colors, and of gold to the weaving together of our community. We are all different. All of the groups that make up the World Zionist Organization, that make up the worldwide Jewish community, that make up our Canadian Jewish community, all of them are necessary to be the rich community that we are. And if one group, if one thread in those garments pulled out to shine on its own, the garment itself would warp at best and would have a hole at worst. And that's the same thing with our community. We are one part of a Canadian community that is very proud, that is very Zionist. And if any one part is missing, then we all lose out. Along with those garments were the epaulets that Aaron wore on his shoulders, and the choshen, the breastplate that he wore, that I said were like the breastplates we put here on our Sifrei Torah. The breastplate itself hung from those epaulets, and on both the breastplate and the epaulets there were stones, gemstones, that represented each of our tribes. And on those gemstones were the names of the tribes engraved, so that Aharon literally had the weight of the Israelite people on his shoulders. We all have the weight of all of our people. We no longer have Kohanim. We no longer have Levi'im. We don't have one person or one small group of people who represent all of this work, who do this work for us. It's upon all of us to make sure that we do the work, that we bear that weight every day. And I have some ideas about how we can do that. I have some ideas about how we can best, to our abilities, support and care for the Jewish people. We do this through tzedakah, whether through our congregation or through other organizations. We do this through avodah, through service. That means volunteering, coming up with those ideas for programs, joining committees here at the shul. We do this through our communal responsibility. And for that, I'd like to call your attention to two things that are happening on April 28th. First of all, you probably all know this one, the federal election. Just as Aaron felt that weight of the Jewish people upon his shoulders, we too should feel the weight on our shoulders. I encourage everyone to vote. Find out who your candidates are. Speak to them. If there's a meet and greet, go meet them. Read their platforms. Think about our responsibilities to our country and vote with yourself, our community, and our country in mind. Voting is both a privilege and a serious responsibility. Also, on that date, April 28th, through coincidence, I asked, pure coincidence, registration for another election is happening. That is the election for the World Zionist Congress. The World Zionist Congress election will happen in June. The Congress itself will be in October. And at the Congress, delegates from Canada, 19 delegates from Canada, and delegates from around the world will travel to Israel, where they will make the decisions on over $1 billion worth of allocations that affect us here in Toronto, that affect Jewish communities around the world. They affect the shlichim that come, where they go, where they work, all of that. As well, the leadership for the World Zionist Organization, for the Jewish Agency, and for Jewish National Fund will be chosen based on the results of those elections. There are some groups who would have their thread pull out and shine brighter than other threads in our amazing tapestry that is the Jewish community. Our Masorti movement doesn't want that to happen. The worldwide Masorti movement values every thread, not just Masortis, every stone that makes up that breastplate. We want to ensure the balance for different denominations and that everyone gets a share in that money, in that leadership, and in the programs and supports that are put out there for our worldwide community. So I encourage you on April 28th, go cast your vote for Canada and then register to cast your vote for the World Zionist Congress. There will be information on how you do that in the coming weeks as we get closer. I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom. We turn to page 350.